we have with us Dr. Rajesh Nair, Director of Amity Institute of Behavioural and Allied Sciences. I'm welcoming you also, sir.
So this is one of the very important topic which would affect all of us, the participants who are attending this webinar. The topic, as Navdeep mentioned, we are talking about emerging career opportunities, the skills required by 2030. So I have kept the 2030 as a period because this gives us almost 10 years now the vision for planning our careers. The presentation outline is like this. So what we will be discussing in this webinar is we'll talk about the key definitions around what exactly job means, skills, career, competencies, attitude, which are very important aspects of the career choices what we make. We'll be talking about the determinants, the key determinants of jobs in 2030. So what would define the future jobs in 2030? We will talk about that. We'll talk about the different career opportunities, looking at the technological changes which are undertaking very fastly, very swiftly around the world. I'll be talking about a few skills, at least 10 to 14 such skills which are needed long ago. And then we will conclude the session by having a question and answer session. Now, to begin with, let us have this discussion on how many of you are actually anxious regarding the future career. I'm sure many of you must have decided what you want to do as part of your career choices. There would be certain who may be undecided, some would be confused, some would be not at all bothered as this point of time. So each one of us would have individual variations, differences, choices which are available to us in terms of career. I would want to hear one of the very important quote by Jack Welch, who was former chairman and CEO of General Electricals, who mentioned that if the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, the end is near. So this means that the inner change in the person in terms of the capacities, the competencies what we have should surpass the change which is undertaking outside the world. If we do not match that at least, then we are in trouble, right? So to strengthen the discussion, I thought that it would be a good idea to first let's be on one page in terms of understanding some of the key concepts related to career opportunities, career choices, etc. So let's talk the first definition, which is of job. So what we think in terms of job. So as it defines that job is a group of homogeneous tasks or similar functions which we have to carry in a particular job. Skills are ability and capacity acquired through deliberate and systematic and sustained effort. Skills are dependent on job functions and which requires basically the types of skills such as cognitive skills, technical skills, interpersonal skills. So cognitive skills are the skills which are related with learning, new learning. Technical skills are like operating some kind of machine, or maybe counseling in the area of psychology, or maybe treatment or new treatment in case of medical sciences. And interpersonal communication, which or interpersonal skills, which are cross-cutting skills and very required skills. Third definition, we will talk about career. So career basically is the progress and actions taken by a person throughout a life. So career is not one job, maybe several jobs what we do as part of one type of long-term set of actions what we carry out in terms of a different variety of jobs. So career would mean that person's occupation, what a person does throughout the lifespan or at least longer period of time, is what is the career. Competencies are cluster of related abilities, commitments, knowledge, and skills which can be developed in an institutional setting like Amity University. So competencies are cluster of related abilities which enables persons to effectively carry out a job or multiple jobs through different kind of skill sets. Lastly, we will talk about attitude, which is, as I said earlier, it is a cross-cutting, very important attribute of a person, of the person's personality, which is basically tendency to respond positively or negatively towards a certain idea, object, person, or the situation. So attitude is very, very important, which would tell whether the person would be able to carry out or how persistent that person would be in terms of carrying out that particular role or responsibility. So attitude influences an individual's choice of action and responses to the challenges, incentives, and rewards. Personality. Now, second segment of this which is about why Indians. So, what would keep Indians over others? As you all know, that India is a young nation. Almost maybe more than one-fourth of Indians are considerably young as compared to the world. 62% of the India's population is in the working age group, that is from 15 to 59 years of age. Almost 54% of total population is below 25 years of age, which is substantial, right? And as you know that by 2020, India will be 29 years against the 40 years in USA, 46 years in Europe, and 47 years in Japan. So that shows that Indians would be considerably young as compared to any developed countries. So this population or demographic benefit which Indians have is going to increase in another 1 decade or so. Means more number of Indians would remain young in another decade. So this would further on this demographic dividend based on different studies which I have referred to prepare this. It is going to stay at least next 25 years. So this is again a very positive sign for the futuristic career options available to us Indians. India has a potential to provide skilled workforce. India is towards becoming global knowledge economy. So as you see, lot Indians expats who work in internationally, they go there based on certain skill sets they have that could vary from engineering to medicine to teaching to software skills likewise. So there is a huge advantage what Indians have, and India is destined to become a global knowledge economy. But this mean that though the numbers are in our favor, we also need to look into the quality related aspects. So what is needed is considering these dividends, we need to plan skilled facilities for providing skill trainings. We need to plan those trainings which are predominantly run based on the quality. Okay. Now, to decide on these career opportunities by 2030, what is required is that we have certain assumptions in mind. Now, these assumptions are basically the determinants which would ensure that these jobs stay there. So, what are these determinants? These are like the level of foreign direct investment which comes in India, the economic growth, what India was carrying on before COVID-19, and now also a study says that probably India would be one nation which would be able to sail through this depression in economy, world economy. Then we talk about the technology, exponential technologies in which we are working internationally is going to help us as well to grow. Um, the increase and decrease in overseas job opportunities for Indian laborers, then speed of adoption to new technologies, demands, rising middle class, etc., are few of these determinants we are talking about. Now, what exactly these different technical reports highlight, which I have referred to, such as McKinsey and companies such as Ernst and Young, which have looked into the requirement of Indians. So these technical reports highlights that job polarization would decline in the middle level. So at the mid level, the the bulk of jobs which used to have is going to decline. The repetitive rule-based jobs are going to decline. Instead, the increase in demand for innovative, creative, design-oriented, high-order skills would be there. So, what does this mean? It means that those jobs which are currently ongoing, uh, majority of them are going to be changed or reshaped in some or the other way. Primary forces affecting key sectors of economy would remain globalization, demographics, rapid adoptions for newer technologies, and the industrial wave which is going to come. Now, this slide, if you refer to the same determinants, you can see globalization, demographic changes, the adoption of industry 4 in next 5 years, and the kind of impact on the jobs would be like the IT and banking sector would be in terms of higher demand. Then comes auto and retail markets, and very less, or maybe on the lower side, would be apparel and leather related industries. Now, to further, if we dissect this data, what we would see is that the workforce mix internationally by year 2022, based on the assumptions, would see that 9% of the jobs would be new jobs. The jobs which do not exist today, around 37% of the jobs which would be uh, radically changed depending on the newer skill sets which would be required. And then there would be 54% which would be falling under uh, unchanged category. Now, we are looking at the assumptions for 2022 by these important consultancy organizations. So almost, if you see, 40 jobs are 46% of the jobs would be completely changed by the next few years. So that means we would require newer skill sets to adapt ourselves to the newer environment. If you see this slide, I'll give you the better examples. In terms, if you see clearly, it says that in case of IT and uh, sectors which would provide back-end services, right? Uh, Nearly 20% of the jobs would not be the same what we see today. So 20% of completely new jobs, and almost 60 to 65% would the job would be new types of job, newly shaped, or the existing job would have a different SOP or the key result areas as we see today. Similarly, in the case of automobile sectors, textile, apparel industry, etc., which shows that 10 to 20% of these existing jobs in this sector are going to change. What would be these kind of new jobs I'm talking about? Let's say in terms of IT industry, it would be maybe the artificial intelligence related VFX artist, computer vision engineer, um, the data scientist, data architect, etc. In terms of automobile sector, it would be automobile analytics engineer, technicians. In terms of textile and the apparel industries, it would be the IT process engineers, the apparel data analysts. So these jobs do not exist as on date, and there we need this training, the trainings which can be offered by the institutes, the universities, which can adjust to the requirement of future. And there I think Amity University can play a major role. Look at this banking and financial systems, where 20% of jobs, clearly it says, are going to change. They will not, these are the jobs which are not existing as on date. These jobs are cyber security specialist, analyst, robot programmer, blockchain architect, process modeler experts. 50 to 60% of these jobs will be changed. What are existing as on date. Same in terms of retail sector, 10% of the jobs exist as on date, which are going to be there in the future, and 20% to 25% are those jobs which would be completely changed. The kind of structure we see these days would not be there. What kind of jobs these would be? Such as customer experience leader, digital imaging leader, IT process modeler. So these are some of the futuristic jobs we are talking about. Now, what kind of skills which kind of skills will be needed that point of time? And if you remember the previous slide where we talked about the cognitive skills, the skills which would be related with the technical aspects of it, social and emotional skills we'll be talking about. Now, if we see this slide, this talks about the cognitive and social emotional skills which would be required your futuristic jobs. Now, what are these high cognitive skills, such as creativity, innovations, which are going to be the key, as I mentioned in the previous slide, that the jobs which are existing as would be redundant in future. So the futuristic job would be based on creativity, ideation, innovations, etc. But what kind of social and emotional skills we are talking about here? We are talking about here leadership, service orientation, social influence, managing others, emotional intelligence, means those skill sets which are more social, interpersonal, emotional in nature are going to grow in any of these areas which are considered technical in nature. So the role of managers will be much more in terms of stress, emotional, social aspects of the employees. So what industries want as on date, which the universities like Amity University can easily offer, is such as the skills which are around critical thinking, aptitude, communication skills, managing people, managing stresses, innovation, right? So to address the requirements of industry, the programs at Amity University are designed. So the degree is what was the emphasis earlier, would have lesser percentage of what do you say acceptance as compared to the requirements of critical thinking, managing the stress, etc. Now, as I mentioned, the highest job both in all kind of sectors would require automations, and these jobs would be like in the area of healthcare services. The professionals such as engineers, scientists, accountants, and analysts would no longer be the positions like what we have. So these kind of job responsibilities would be driven by automation, technology, right? Artificial intelligence, etc. So IT professionals, managers, and executives they cannot be replaced by machines. So what this required is they require these kind of skill sets, so they're able to deliver these kind of responsibilities. Now, how we would be able to get these competencies, these skills? Now, what are those steps which we need to follow? First of all, what we need is we need self-assessment, where we are today, where we are lagging, what are the opportunities available for us. Second is explore career options. What kind of options are available for us? Narrow down the list of options. So we need to narrow down the kind of options we think we would be able to best uh, play our role there, right? Then decide and choose the best option, set a career goal for yourself, and then the kind of competencies which are required in terms of the knowledge, the skills, the competencies, the kind of attitude we would be needed in carrying out those responsibilities. Now, in terms of career options for science students, like what we have today, so the engineering graduates would have the requirements to undergo trainings on software, civil, mechanical, aerospace, artificial intelligence, likewise, and then the kind of jobs what we see in the areas of biotechnology, applied sciences, pharmacy, nanotechnology, forensic sciences, earth and environmental sciences, food technology, agriculture. These are certain options available for science graduates. And all these programs, if you see the website of Amity University, you would be able to, because these are the tailored as per the requirement of futuristic career opportunities. Um, then dietetics and nutrition, molecular and stem cell, audiology, medical lab technology, nursing, optometry, pharmacy, biotechnology are the career options for medical graduates. For commerce students, management, journalism and mass communication, fashion, commerce, animation are some of the areas in addition to the accountancy, in addition to actuarial and legal sciences. For humanities and art students, the job opportunities would be in the areas of management, language, travel and tourism, hospitality, clinical psychology, fashion, law, mass comm, and computer applications. There would be certain offbeat careers also. Means it's not that only these career choices would be which we'll just discuss, but career offbeat careers would remain such as music, drama, sports, radio, comedy, rapper, poetry, literature, etc. So, so the mix of these opportunities which would be available to us in terms of innovations, creativity, ideations, technology, etc. So the current requirement would be very much different in terms of futuristic requirements. So as I said in the beginning, we will be talking about few skills. These the skills which would be needed for the opportunities, such as creativity, emotional intelligence, analytical thinking, critical thinking, active learning and growth mindset, judgment and decision making, interpersonal communication skills, leadership skills, technology skills, diversity and cultural skills, intelligence, embracing the change, curiosity, concitousness, collaboration, agility are some of the soft skills which would be definitely needed for future careers, and easily the platform of program can provide you such kind of opportunities. So, in terms of the last section of this webinar, this presentation, I would like or encourage all of you to ask questions. Now, I thought to start with, I will draw some questions from my side. So these questions which comes to my mind, if I were to, from where such skills can be gained, how to develop a competency plan, what should be the time frame, are some of the questions which I thought were starting the discussion. So thank you so much for your active participation. Now this webinar is open for question and answer session. Thank you so much. Please.
Yes, sir. A few questions are there. Sir, the first question is, hello.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
sir. Sir, first question is, what are the career options available after doing post-graduation in psychology?
Okay. As I come from this area only, so see, if you see the subject of psychology or clinical psychology for that matter, distribute the career options in the area of clinical psychology, applied psychology, and also in the area of public health related psychological interventions. So first one is where the psychologist is able to help in terms of overcoming the mental health issues of individuals or maybe smaller group of people. Second is the area of applied psychology, where the psychologists work in the areas such as industries, in manufacturing units, where they are able to deal with some of the occupational hazards or issues related to the individual's career growth, their training requirements, etc. And third, as I mentioned, with regard to the public at large. So psychologists can play a role in the area of, or are playing an effective role in the area of public health. Like in the episode of COVID-19, there are hundreds of counselors, thousands of these counselors who are providing the mental health related counseling to people, and many more such opportunities are available in the area of research, in the area of teaching, in the area of developing newer technologies, etc. So there are many such areas which are available for the students of psychology.
Sir,
Yes.
another question is, what are the steps for deciding my career choices?
Okay. Now, if you have to talk about the steps, the career choices, if we have to, very importantly, first we have to see what kind of aspirations we have. Like the individual, what you would want to be in terms of your career, means what you would want to do as part of your career. Identify that area. Let's say somebody would want to become an engineer, or maybe aerospace engineer for specific reasons, right? Then the person needs to develop that goal depending on that career choice only, and then one has to see what kind of trainings which are required, which are the institutions which offer these kind of training programs, what are the eligibility criteria of getting into the such universities where they offer trainings related to aerospace engineering. So likewise, you have to draw your own list of questions in mind, and that would be the starting step of planning your career. Have consultation with technical people, which you can get from the institutions like Amity University, where they can visit, have interaction with the faculty members or the people who are related with admissions, etc. They would be able to professionally help you, guide you, counsel you to draw your different steps which you think are needed to develop your career. Yes, Navdeep.
Sir, another question is, what kind of job opportunities will be available for medical and allied health professionals?
Very good. It's a good question. Depending on the kind of scenario what we are seeing around us. So the currently, if you see COVID-19, the kind of platform it has given to people, it very well show that the skill sets which are required in at hospital settings. So it is not only the doctors, nurses who are important, but different paramedical staff, allied professionals who are praying very effectively in terms of containing the, in terms of containing infections and also managing the existing cases. So, which is very important, and it is going to grow only. So, medical professionals, if I have to talk about, the conventional doctor system is going to stay, the nursing systems are going to stay. Only thing is that super specialization would get further strengthened in the newer system. With regard to allied health professionals and paramedical staff, I think the importance of these two careers is going to grow. So the public health experts, the epidemiologists, the hygienists, the role of optometrist, the role of other paramedical and allied health professionals is going to grow, because without them, the conventional way of delivering medical healthcare services cannot be given. So my sense is both these areas would be strengthened in coming years.
It's hello.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So another question: will degree in management will be helpful for my build my career?
Okay, good. So, see, how I see management as a training is it's a kind of a cross-cutting, very enabling kind of training program. Means the people who undergo management training would develop the capacities which are cross-cutting. So the same management graduate can be very functional, very productive in the area of, let's say, some manufacturing unit, and similarly the person would be very effective in terms of the other area which would be related with human relations, or maybe which is a service sector related area. So the important point, what I'm saying is, it's a very cross-cutting kind of and a role in terms of uh, paramedical staff in sector. I'm saying the role of management is also going to grow. Only I think that probably the people who are trained in different technological side would have their own preference in this area, and this kind of behavior is going to grow. So this will help people to become better managers, better executionists of different programs or program implementers. So management training is going to help, and the career options for management graduates are going to grow. Yes.
Sir, another question is, do you think artificial intelligence will be one such sought after career options for engineers?
I think so, because as I mentioned in my presentation also, my sense is that artificial intelligence is one such area which is very futuristic, and all these gadgets what we see today, it would be driven by artificial intelligence. Not only in the area of, like, I'm in teaching sector, education sector, in all the areas for getting efficiency from different areas. The outcome would be dependent on artificial intelligence. However, there would be some amount of restriction as well, that how much interface between technology and humans, how much dependence on technology should be in future appliances, would also somewhat restrict this requirement. But this very area of artificial intelligence, I'm sure it is going to grow. It will strengthen the current technology as for futuristic requirements.
Sir, another question is, are there any soft skills which will be important for develop career?
Yes, many, as I mentioned as part of my presentation also, that creativity, innovation, ideation, newer ideas are emphasis by the uh, industry. And second is the areas where human relations, emotional intelligence, social intelligence would play a major role. How good we would be able to manage people, extract work from them, improve the productivity would be dependent on these kind of soft skills as well. Communication skills, the skills related to reaching out to maximum number of people would be very helpful. That's my sense.